Moist,
moist, moist,
moist, moist,
moist,
moist, moist, moist,
moist,
moist,
moist,
moist, moist. When you listen to a word without paying attention to its meaning, you can hear it as just a random string of sounds. That is because words, like many other concepts, are made up. When I say made up, I don't mean that they are not real, but that they are made real by our collective agreement that they are real. What I mean is that their truth or meaning is not an inherent quality, but a quality that has been given to them by our collective agreement. Something else that can be looked at in the same way is money. Money is a symbol of the value that something has been given by society. So, at any point that we collectively reject the truth of this symbolism, then money as a concept would cease to exist, even though you could still see and touch paper cash. But made up things, however they come to be, still play important roles in our lives, and words, I think, are some of the most important ones. Words are like containers that carry the essence of things and channel them into being. With words, we're taking the intangible experience of something seen or felt, tasted, and bringing it into the recognized reality. Rock, black, sour, fire. The way people use words also helps us to understand how people think. They tell us what different groups of people experienced at different points in history. They almost allow us look through their eyes and they tell us what people thought important enough to name. Gold, tweet, bomb. And words are still being created. Old words are being adapted into newer vocabulary, and brand new words are still being formed every day. I mean, I could literally sit here and make up a word if I wanted to. But at what point do sounds strung together become words with meaning? Well, as I mentioned earlier, words require an element of collective agreement. So, until any string of sounds is being used and recognized by enough people, it isn't yet a word in its true sense. Marcel Denacy, a professor of semiotics and linguistic anthropology, explains in his TED presentation on where words come from that new words don't originate from above, but from ordinary people using and spreading words that hit the right combination of useful and catchy. Okay, take the word severally, for example. How would you define it? If you're Nigerian like me, you probably said something along the lines of many times, repeatedly, several times, right? Okay, let's see if you're right. The word severally is defined by Oxford Languages as separately or individually, each in turn. For example, the partners are jointly and severally liable. And this is the way the word is commonly used. So that would mean that the way the average Nigerian uses it is wrong. Correct? Well, okay, hold on. Let's dig a little bit deeper. In the year 2020, Oxford Languages added a second definition of the word severally, meaning many times, repeatedly. For example, I asked her severally if she was okay, and she said she was fine. Nigerian. The recognition of this Nigerian definition shows that the word had fulfilled the two main parameters for words gaining meaning: useful and catchy. We could also start a conversation about the global power dynamics that determine whose words matter and whose words don't, but that's a topic for another day. Aside from that, though, the recognition of this word is a marker of the world's evolution. Why? Words are dynamic, ever changing, because people are dynamic, ever changing. Words are supposed to evolve alongside us. So, the recognition of this Nigerian word means that the world has added a piece of the Nigerian mind into the global conversation. We get to peer into the Nigerian mind, see through Nigerian eyes. I myself, as a Nigerian, I feel more connected to the rest of the world because I can communicate something within me and other people can understand. And that, my friends, is the power of words. Words help us peer into each other's minds. We can say to each other, I see you, your experience, your perception, your reality, and you see mine. We can relate. But like many human made things, our language still has its flaws. We don't yet have the words to encompass all our realities, and sometimes that can put walls between us. We can lose pieces of our connection to ourselves and each other because we don't have the words to describe these experiences, and that can isolate us. Do you remember the first time you heard a word that perfectly described an experience of yours you could never explain to other people? Like, I don't know, ADHD, time blindness, social anxiety. Remember how you felt when you realized that you weren't crazy or weird and that you weren't the only one? That is what words do for us. And there are still so many bridges needed to be built. This is the task that a man named John Koenig took up with his book, The Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows. The Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows is a book of made up words written by one man in an attempt to build bridges between humans through words. According to this book's guide, all words in this dictionary are new. Some were rescued from the trash heap and redefined. Others were invented from whole cloth. But most were stitched together from fragments of 100 different languages, both living and dead. He calls it obscure sorrows not because the contents of the book are necessarily sorrowful, but they describe those full emotions that we tend to feel but have no words to express. The author describes the ethos of this book by saying, in language, all things are possible, which means that no emotion is untranslatable, no sorrow too obscure to define. We just have to do it. So, in service of the aspirations of this book, I have taken 6 of my favorite words, the ones that resonated most deeply with me, and captured them in this video in hopes that they mean something to you too. Monopis. The author describes this emotion as the subtle but persistent feeling of being out of place, as maladapted to your surroundings, as a seal on a beach, lumbering and clumsy, huddled in the company of other misfits, dreaming of life in your natural habitat, a place where you'd be fluidly, brilliantly, effortlessly at home. Take a deep breath with me if you've ever felt like this. Breathe in and breathe out. It can be a lonely journey when you feel like you don't belong somewhere. Othering, like there might be something secretly wrong with you. But I happen to think that it is also a gift of the body to be able to recognize what feels like home and what does not. To be able to identify the feeling of safety, good company, peace, acceptance, so that you know when it is not present. To know who and what makes your heart sing and what does not. It is protection, our body's language of love for our souls. I think the courageous thing to do is to listen to that feeling without letting it consume or control you. To see it as an invitation to continue on your journey rather than to surrender to isolation. And to remember that the people who you feel separate from have also felt separate themselves. None of us is the exception. Maybe we are all each other has ever really needed, but we keep missing each other somehow. Maybe it's life's way of propelling us, challenging us to go far and wide, to seek, learn, and explore until we come back around, because infinity is a circle and not a straight line. To see that what we've always needed has never been separate from us. Opia, the ambiguous intensity of eye contact. When listening or speaking to another person face to face, how often do you look them in the eyes? How about when you're telling a lie? Or when there's a tension between the two of you? There is something quite unmasking about direct eye contact. The eyes are the windows to the soul is a popular saying, but it's much more than just an old saying. Our eyes hold a peculiar power, as they are, in a sense, the only part of our brain that is directly exposed to the world. Studies have shown that one of the reasons that eye contact feels as intense as it does is because meeting someone's gaze almost immediately engages a raft of brain processes. Almost instantly, we become aware that we are engaging with the mind of another person who is also at the same time engaging with us. It's almost like the person is no longer just a name or an idea, but a person with a mind and soul of their own, just like us. In Igbo language, I love you is said as Ahurum Ginanya, which when deconstructed means I see you eye to eye. To see someone eye to eye, physically or metaphorically, is the most intimate thing that a person can do. Seeing them, recognizing their fullness and complexity, and realizing they're just like me, and I like them. We once thought that the earth was the center of the universe and that the sun revolved around us. A guy named Giordano Bruno thought otherwise, and he was murdered for it. We also thought that the earth was flat. We thought that smoking cigarettes prevents sore throats and was good for your health. We thought that comets were warnings of doom from the gods. We thought that twins were evil. We knew. Catharsis, the awareness of how little we really know. There's a reason why humans claim to know things with utmost certainty, even to the extent of killing for our beliefs. The world at the scale we know of it is large and confusing and chaotic. There's the urge to know your place, to know where you fit in, usually to the extent that we make up ideas that put us in control of it somehow. Uncertainty can be quite scary, but it's somehow the thing that keeps us living. If we knew everything with certainty, how everything works, the exact words to say or actions to take in every situation, the correct things to believe at all times, or the way our lives should play out right from birth, what would be left of life? Is it not in the exploration of this uncertain, mostly unknowable universe that life draws its meaning? Is it not in asking why, what, and how that we engage our imaginations, create the things and spaces that make life interesting? Dorothy West once said, "To know how much there is to know is the beginning of learning to live." It is tempting to seek certainty in all that we do, to avoid mistakes, to live the correct way, whatever that means. But if you've lived long enough, you soon come to learn that mistakes are unavoidable. Instead of focusing our attention on what we should or shouldn't be doing, What if we leapt eyes closed or open into the void, the unknown, and claimed our place in it? Sure, seek truth, but the existence of one unified, solid, certain truth is improbable at best. But we can find truth moment to moment, immersing ourselves in the pockets of existence that we get to experience before we die. So, while we are still here, why not dance and delight in the catharsis of it all?